I don't see it saying I'm being recorded.
I see it in the top corner of my screen.
Excellent. Well, that's good. Then we're going to go with that. All right. Well, great. Thanks for joining. We are in our Heartland Success Series webinar, and this is the first session of a 6-week program. So let me just outline quickly what we're going to do here. So we're starting off with getting started in real estate. So this program today is really meant for the audience identified is really for newer agents. So I would guess that to be 1 year or less in real estate, but of course everybody's welcome to join. So thank you for joining. So getting started in real estate. The next week, we're going to go on with a marketing session. Each one of these sessions should be about an hour long is my goal. I've kept it to under 30 slides for each one. And of course, this is being recorded, so we will post these to our Heartland Realtor Organization YouTube channel as well. So they will be posted. So getting started in real estate, then marketing. Working with buyers will be the third one. Working with sellers is the fourth one. And then the fifth one we're going to do in conjunction with our new member Jumpstart program. So we will have those attendees and as well as the general membership as well, and discussing fair housing, antitrust, and some other, I'll just call them legal topics. And then my favorite one that I'm looking forward to the most, I think, is June 24th, looking at Real Estate 201. I'm calling it Advanced Techniques. So a couple of tips for how to do a couple of things that might just get you that last listing, your listing appointment, and you think you got it, but they're not quite ready to sign yet. And here's a couple of techniques you can use to do that. And basically some just more expanded topics in real estate. So of course, we always welcome feedback. If you have questions along the way, feel free to either shout them out. A couple of you are unmuted, or use the chat box. I'll try to watch a chat box as best I can while giving a presentation as well. So with that, we're going to jump right in. Again, each one should be about an hour long. So let's just start out with why me? Why am I teaching this course? Why am I qualified? Why should you listen to what I'm saying? Why do I have any credentials at all? So just bragging a little bit for a couple of seconds here. So I am Jim Heisler. I'm the CEO of the Heartland Realtor Organization. Almost 25 years in real estate, getting close this year. So 24 and a half probably. And I sold real estate for 5.5 years as my full-time sole source of income. Didn't have another job. Wasn't married. It was literally sell homes or go hungry. So I get it. I understand. I remember those days. Real estate has changed an awful lot since then. But I do remember what it was like to be in the trenches. I do know how you feel on the general terms. So I think from that perspective, I've got empathy and understand what you're doing. After those 5+ years in real estate, I moved over to the association side. So I was heavily involved in the association realtors, even in my early years of real estate. Got involved in the association, was on committees, was asked to be on the board of directors, was asked to serve as the secretary of the association, so the first step in the officers' positions. And then at that point, my life changed a little bit. I was getting married and things, and just needed a little switch, and switched over from the real estate sales side to the real estate management side, association management. So I've been doing this for 20-something years. I was with the Lake County Association Realtors many years ago, and then they merged with the Northwest Association, become the Realtor Association Northwest Chicagoland, and then I left there 14 years ago, and I came out to McHenry County and became the CEO here at the now Heartland Realtor Organization. I do have a master's degree in real estate from Columbia College in Missouri, so I do know a couple of things. I've taken a few courses, and a few more courses I've taken. On the screen, you'll see I've got a few designations. So at home with diversity, buyer's price opinion, resource, commitment to excellence. I've got so many, I don't even know what they stand for anymore. What is the CIPS? Certified International Professional Specialist, ePro, my master's degree in real estate and pricing strategies analyst, and then probably one of my most difficult ones, the Realtor Certified Executive. So I've taken lots of courses and a significant test to become a Realtor Certified Executive. So a few things I know about real estate. Expectations. So we're jumping into it for you. So new members in the industry, when I teach this to new members at orientation, I just like to make them aware of realistic expectations. I kind of think of the diet commercials you see on TV, where results may vary, or results not typical, or however you want to word it. You can do extremely well right off the bat in real estate. You can. It's not typical. The typical route is someone gets started, they kind of dabble a little bit. Maybe for many people now, they have other jobs, either full or part-time jobs, and then start real estate as a part-time job. Absolutely, you can do that. But you're going to reap the rewards of the work that you put in. I should say the productive work that you put in. So you can start off and become very successful in real estate, depending what your terms of success means, definition, very quickly. So we do have a couple of agents that in their first year did a couple of $1 million worth of sales transactions. That can happen. You need to do the right things and get at it and just work hard. And again, productively. I was the world's greatest agent at getting ready to make calls, and maybe not the world's greatest agent at making calls. So I get it. So how much are you going to work? Are you going to be full-time, part-time? Either one, neither's bad. Just a matter of how much time do you have to devote to it. And more importantly, how much time you have to take care of your customers and your clients. On the listing side, they don't need as much hand-holding perhaps, where the buy side, you do need to hand-hold them a little bit more. That's not to say you shouldn't follow up with your clients when they're sellers, but you're gonna work with them in a different fashion than you do buyers. I also want to remind new agents that you can take a day off. You can have a day off, and I would argue you should have a day off. I tried to take Wednesdays and Sundays off. Those are my 2 days that I liked. But you need to be really careful about how you do that, in my opinion. And of course, all of this is my opinion. So I had an issue. It was my girlfriend's father's girlfriend who I was working with to show property. And on the North Shore, I was an agent working out of mostly Mundelein, Libertyville, Vernon Hills. She was looking at property in the North Shore, so the price range, tripled from what I was used to. I sold a lot of $70,000 condos. She was looking at a $450,000 house. So yay me. So she wanted her day off was Wednesdays. My day off was Wednesdays. That doesn't go very well. If the only day she can see property is the day I don't show property, how am I going to take care of that? So I remember clearly, we had just shown her some property. She wanted to go see property on Wednesday. This wasn't a Wednesday. She wanted to go see on Wednesday, and I said to her, well, I've got a golf outing to go to. Well, that was kind of it for her. That was the last I'd heard. She didn't say anything to me, but she never responded back to showing properties or anything else. So what I should have said, perhaps, was either one, tell her I had another appointment that day, and is there another day that we could work this out, and not mention that it was a golf event. That could have been one way. Not lying, of course, but just maybe not being as forward with information as I needed to be. Or two, maybe just come back and said, well, I'm not available on Wednesday, but let me have my partner in real estate, and I didn't have a team member, but another agent in my office. Let me reach out to another agent in my office to see if she can show you property on Wednesday. I'm not available. That would have been a better approach than, oh, I've got a golf outing. I got a little cavalier, maybe a little relaxed, in that she was somewhat related to me, a friend of the family, if you will, that I took it for granted and lost that transaction. So my pain, hopefully your gain. But you need days off. I call them attitude adjustment days. If you're doing this business 7 days straight, even for just a few hours a day, you will burn out. You need to take time off. You need to schedule that time off. Just be careful about how you relay that to your clients is my thought for you. So the next item on the list, do you need a partner? Maybe. I would suggest yes, and it doesn't have to be a formal partnership. So my partner in real estate sat right behind me. Our desks, our chairs would bump into each other. So she would show property when I needed her to, and I would show property when she needed to. We were both young at that point. She was starting a family, having her second and then third children at that time, and needed a little more assistance with some things. So I was glad to help out. I was single at the time, didn't have those commitments. So we worked together. We didn't have a formal partnership. We didn't have an actual agreement. It was more of, hey, can you go show this property? And if I went and showed it and it turned into a deal or looked like it was turning into a deal, she'd give me something, whether that's a referral fee portion or half of it or whatever we felt was realistic and worthy of that situation. So we worked it out independently ourselves. I think you need to have someone that you're working with for those kind of situations. You're going to take a vacation at some point. And the real estate joke is the busiest time in your life is always that time you're trying to take off. So your business always blows up and gets crazy busy when you're trying to go out of town. So make sure you've got a backup plan. All right, next topic, kind of jumping around a little bit. What expenses to expect? So if you've been in this business at any length of time at this point, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or more, you know the list is long. So here's just a couple of them just for some fun. Desk fees, signs, sign installation, business cards, sign writers, postcard mailings, name tags, lapel pins, MLS fees, technology fees, newsletters, postage, and it goes on and on and on. You've already gotten hit with a bunch of these. This can be an expensive business in that way, that there are a lot of fees that come up front to you. But then again, when you really look at it, this is a rather inexpensive business to get into, because even when you add up all of these fees, and let's just say that's a couple of $1,000s, let's say it's $5,000 a year, what other business could you get into for $5,000 investment? There aren't too many. So yes, there are a lot of fees up front. I don't know that a lot of managing brokers go over that with you, especially when you're still in school or being recruited. They're not going to tell you how much you have to pay. It's when you start getting in and paying, and they keep asking for more, and not them. We're all asking. You pay money to Heartland too. We're equally a piece of this. But there's a lot of fees involved, and I'm not sure that agents are really made aware of that as they're getting into the business. So they're there, but they're investments. So think about how much business you're doing, and as any business, you've got fixed costs and variable rate costs. Those fixed costs are what you're gonna pay regardless of how much business you do, and the variable rate costs are how much you're gonna pay because you're doing business. Those variable rate expenses are rather low compared to the amount of revenue and what your income can be. So this can be a very lucrative job, career. So we welcome you to it. I'm not trying to scare you, just giving you expectations. Speaking of realistic expectations, you are in business for yourself. I'm sure your managing brokers already explained that to you, or your trainer or your mentor, whoever you're working with, has explained that you are in business for yourself. So most real estate agents are independent contractors. You sign an independent contract agreement, which we'll get into. So you need to make sure you know what that means and who you're responsible to. It's great that you don't really have a boss looking over you, that you don't have to be in the office from 9 to 5. But the bad news, especially that was a downfall for me, was I didn't have someone looking over me. I needed a little bit of accountability. And that's where my partner came into play, that when we would do some marketing or outreach or cold calling, we would make an appointment to do that together. And that accountability partner really was helpful for me, that if I knew she was coming in, I better not leave her sitting by herself. So accountability in business for yourself, absolutely. This is a self-limiting potential business, meaning your limitations on your earnings are really only up to you. Self-limiting. Sky's the limit, as they say. You can make nearly as much as you want, depending on how you work and what markets you go after. Again, I was selling $70,000 condos in Vernon Hills, Libertyville, Mundelein, that whole area. You're not making a lot of income off of a $70,000 condo, but I sold a lot of them. So I did about 40 deals in my third year in business. That was pretty good. The other agent in my office, top agent, and I talk about my partner of another agent who was in my first couple of years, was vying with me for top agent producer in the office, was doing about half the number of transactions, but she was selling $300,000 homes. So where are you gonna make the money? And we're gonna get into that in just a moment. I used to call it ignorance on fire, being debt motivated. It's all up to you. What drives you? There's one trainer, professional industry trainer that comes to mind that I think of, and he said that what you should do is take a picture, print off a picture of what's driving you. So you print off a picture of the beach because you want to go on vacation, and that's why you're working hard, is because you want to go on this vacation. You put up the picture of a beach. So that's a reminder for you that, every time you get in your car, you see the picture, and you put it on the mirror in your bathroom, there's the picture. You put it everywhere that you were going to see daily as a reminder of, have I worked hard enough? For me, it wasn't a beach. I was a single person. I need to make a living in order to sustain myself. If I wanted gas in the car, to pay for my mortgage, to pay for my car payment, all those things, I had to sell property. So the story I like to tell about that is, my brother came over to my house one time. I just put up some wire racks in my garage, and I'd stocked the wire racks with some pickles, some dry pasta, some ragu sauce, some pasta sauce, and I think there's a box of crackers or something. And my brother came by and came in my house. He said, "Hey, well, what's that?" And I said, "Oh, that's Plan B." And we walked inside the kitchen, and I'm a smart aleck, so I forgot to tell him what Plan B really means. And so he stopped me and said, "Well, Jim, what's Plan B? What is that?" I said, "Oh, yeah. See, Larry, If I don't sell a house this month, I'm eating that next month. And while I don't mind crackers and pasta and pickles, that's not my choice of dinner, but that's cheap food. So for me, that was my motivation. I didn't have a picture of a beach trying to go on vacation. It was every day I got home from work, I got in my car, I walked by these pickles and crackers or whatever. I would look and see what's there and ask myself the mental question of did I work hard enough today that I'm not eating that for dinner next month? That was my motivation. So find what motivates you, find what makes it work for you. How much do you want to make? Again, that's up to you. Is this a hobby or a livelihood? That's either. It depends on you. We've got plenty of agents, members of the association, very active, very strong members, good agents, nothing wrong with them, that are hobbyists. That's just my word for it. People that they're not doing this because they want to go out and be the top selling agent. They just want to do a couple deals a year, or they just want to help their family and friends. Great, no problem with that. And then there are other agents who strive to be the top agent or strive to do 100 deals a year or whatever their goal is. That's great too, no problem with that. And then there's a lot of agents in between that are just doing $3, $4, $5 million. I don't mean just, because that's a lot of work too. So where do you want to be? That's totally up to you and your managing broker. Some offices don't want to have low producing agents. Some prefer only top producers and high producing. That's up to them to decide that and for you to discuss that with your managing broker. Where's my paycheck? So, this one hit me pretty hard one day. I was probably a year and a half into the business. I had just sold a home to this great couple. They're about my age, husband and wife. I just sold their townhouse for them and helped them buy a new home. So two sides, yeah, baby, that's nice. We were going out for a beer afterwards because, again, they became friends of mine. And many of your clients will become friends of yours. You're going to be invited over for the housewarming party. Go to the housewarming parties, by the way. Go. Don't stick around. Don't get drunk. Don't watch them get drunk. Go make an appearance. Go mingle with some people. And then excuse yourself out that, hey, I've got another appointment I'm going to have to take. Get out of the way so they can have their party. They may not want to see, get drunk in front of you or whatever. Or maybe they do. I don't know. But anyway, so we're out. We're going to go have a beer. And the husband, his name is Matt. I remember them very clearly and well. Matt looks at me and said, hey, man, that was an awesome check. What are you going to do with that money? And that's when it dawned on me that they don't realize, I don't mean them as a couple, I mean them as all of our clients don't realize we are 100%, I was then, you all are 100% commission. So you don't get a salary, you don't have a paycheck unless you sell a house. And that's the first moment it hit me that they don't realize what that is. Now, in this case, I didn't mind sharing that with him. I think there are plenty of other clients I probably wouldn't have been as bold with, but I looked at him and said, Matt, you don't understand. I get paid 100% commission. I don't get a paycheck unless I sell you a house or sell your house. So thank you. Because remember when I drove you guys around? We used to drive them around back then. I drove you guys around. That was my car. I've got a car payment. I had gas into that car. I took you around. I put flyers in your home. I did all these things. I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got food to eat, all of that. And that's when it hit him of, holy cow, 100% commission. So don't be afraid to tell them that if it's an important part. If you don't think you're going to offend them, that's okay to share that. But you're not getting a paycheck, most likely, because most agents are independent contractors and not employees. So how many properties are you going to sell? I don't know. How long to get started? When's your first sale coming? I don't know. Are you keeping the pipe full? You better be. You can't focus so hard on the first deal you put together or the first client that you get that you don't keep working to get others as well. When we're going to talk about farm areas next week when we get into marketing. So we're talking about farm areas. There's a reason why we call it farm area, because you're planting seeds, and then you're watering those seeds, you're fertilizing those seeds, and eventually they get a little growth, and eventually there's a fruit, and then there's a vegetable, and there's a crop, and then you get to harvest some of this. And it's not like a cornfield where it all comes in at once. It's an ear of corn here and there. Same kind of thing. You've got to keep that pipe full. You can't be nurturing this one seed in the ground, hoping it blossoms and turns into a piece of corn, and then you get to harvest the corn, because when you eat that corn, there's no more corn. You've got to work the marketplace. So keeping the pipe full, and we're going to talk a little bit about that next week, especially in the marketing session and the buyer session and the seller session as well. Some months are longer than others. So there's a joke in real estate that some months are longer. So my business is longer. For your business, it's really more shorter. Some months are shorter than others, meaning, you know, it's the third week. Right now we're looking at May 20th. Have you done any deals yet? If you haven't, you got 10 days left to get some deals going. So if your goal is to sell 45 homes a year, 48 homes a year, if that's 4 a month, and you haven't done any yet, you got 1 week, 10 days to sell 4 properties. Can you do that? Is that going to happen? How are we going to keep on track? So some months are longer, or I say some months are shorter than others. So you've got to be working at it. And I'm going to show you a little tip here in a minute how you can do that. A little way to remind yourself. Commission structure, what income do you want to make? So maybe you know that. Maybe you have a goal in mind of how much you want to make. Can you calculate a commission? So a real estate joke, maybe you don't find this funny, but the only math a real estate agent can do, calculating a commission. Okay, just a joke. So we're going to get to that in a second. What kind of properties are you planning to sell? Average price range. Again, these are ways that you can up how much you're going to make. So let's do the math. Here we go. We got a spreadsheet for you. Let's fill in the numbers for you. All right. So if you think you're going to sell 4 properties a month, that's 48 deals a year. That's a pretty good selling agent, by the way. I would suggest your first couple of years, you might be lower, you know, 12, 1 a month, maybe 24, 2 a month. I was at 36 in my second year, into my third, beginning my third. So I was doing pretty well at that rate. So let's just use 4. That's what's on the screen. So we have 4 deals a month. Average sales price, $125,000. I just threw in a commission rate. Of course, commissions are negotiable. I'm not suggesting this is what you charge. This is being recorded. So just throwing this out there for educational purposes only. Office split, 65%. I don't know what your office splits are. I don't want to know what your office splits are. That's completely between you and your brokerage firm. I'm just throwing in 65 here. 65 is probably high for a brand new agent. And I know most of you are brand new agents. So 65%, you're probably starting out 50-50. And I'm not knocking 50-50. Your brokers are investing a lot of time and energy into you, especially your first few years, and they deserve a higher percentage of your commission those first couple of years where you're learning the business. And as you do more business, you need less from them, then you earn more. So I fully understand why that model works and why it is in place. But not condoning it, not supporting it, just it is. We're using 65% here. So with these numbers, your gross closed commission is $2,000 on a transaction. Average discount for expenses, 45%. Let me explain that. So something that agents don't even know to ask typically is they should be asking their broker, what's a normal amount of my commissions I should be reinvesting back into my business? So how much should I spend on advertising? How much should I spend on clothing that have my brand on it or whatever, and I'm brand underneath, lapel pins and name badges and wrapping my car and magnets and all the stuff you do. How much should be reinvested? I would argue 33% for your future years, but early years is going to be a lot higher. 1, because you're making less money, and 2, because you have more expenses those first couple of years while you build up some of the inventory. You know, once you buy a blazer, you don't need to buy another blazer every month with every deal. So those fixed expenses I talked about in the beginning, once you paid for most of those, you don't have to repurchase them. Yes, some will wear out. Sometimes you do have to repurchase. But so I'm suggesting 45% as a first year, second year reinvestment into your business. It might be more, it might be less. 33% is probably a good number to use for future years. Again, could be more, could be less. So net commission per closing. So if you take a $2,000 commission, you reinvest 45%, that leaves you $1,117 times 4 deals a month. Your annual commission is $53,000 a year. That's doing 48 deals a month. That's a pretty 48 deals a year. So that's a pretty good business for $53,000. Let's do this a little differently. What if you know how much you want to make? Say you know you want to make $50,000 and you're selling homes in a certain price range and it happens to be $125,000, 2.5% commission. We're using the same numbers that we used before, 65% split, 45% reinvestment. So you need to do 3.7 deals in order to make $50,000 a year. Now, the cool thing is you've got 2 things that can change on here. Right here, if you can see my cursor, $125,000. So if you want the $50,000 to be a bigger number, or you want to sell less homes, maybe not want to, but you know that you're likely to sell less homes, the way to change that are these 2 right here, $125,000. So sell higher priced homes. So while my normal deal was a $70,000 condo, I did sell some 300 and 400 and $500,000 homes in my career. That brings your average up, so that's good. But I was selling a lot of those $70,000, $80,000 condos, so that was my main thing. Or the commission rate. So if you're on the listing side, and we'll get to the sellers in a couple of weeks, but if you're on the listing side, you control the commission. You can argue when we get to the buy side in 3 weeks, we'll talk about how you can negotiate the commission, but let's be honest, that's a difficult road to hoe. So a challenge. When you're the listing agent, you do control the commission, and we'll talk about that then. So these are two ways that you can modify how much you're going to make outside of that. Here's the sheet that I used. So this is what I put up in my office. I had a little corner office. It wasn't a beautiful corner like, windowed office. There were no windows, but I was in the back corner, which I liked. I faced the back, I faced the wall, away from the front door. So when I was on the phone, I was talking to the wall and not into the bullpen and everybody else hearing what I'm saying. A little tiny bit more private, but I put this on the side wall. And so when I walked up to my desk every day, and all my other agents in the office could see this, this was not hidden, out in the open, this is the kind of sheet I put out there. So January through December, the deals. So remembering the numbers from that previous page, if I had to do 4 deals a month to meet my goal, and $125,000 is my average, just like that previous page, and hey, look at that, I got 123 Main Street sold. That's awesome. Let's just pretend that was $125,000. That's great. When that closes, I can highlight in 1/4 of this box because I got one of my 4 deals done for January. And I can highlight that all the way down once it closes, not under contract, because some of your deals are going to fall apart. Hopefully not a lot, but some will. About a third are in jeopardy most times. Not a third fall apart, but a third are in jeopardy. You've got to work to keep them together. Then you get 326 high view under. Let's say that's $250,000. That's like 2 deals for me because it's double my average price. So when that closes, you've already got the first quarter filled in. Now you fill in the second quarter and the third quarter because that one was worth two. And then, you've got that highlighted. So down here, and then, you get a few deals. So when you get down to, and it is now becomes May 20th today. So we're halfway through the month of May. How far have I highlighted? For me, this is kind of like that thermometer you see out in the street when they want to build a park and they need $100,000 to build a park and they start coloring it in. That's what this is, only it's horizontal versus vertical. So it's a gauge for me to know, how am I doing today, May 20th? Have I got my, whatever that is, 20 deals together by this point? It's a visual. I'm a very visual person. I walk up to my desk that morning, I look at that thing and say, okay, I'm behind by 2 deals. My mind goes, how am I getting 2 deals done today? What am I going to do today to make sure I can close 2 more deals by the end of the month, which is probably not going to happen. But how do you make that happen? So that's the sheet I used. I need the visual. All right, defining your niche. What's your niche, your specialty? Residential, I assume most of you are residential agents. Are you going to do detached or attached? Doesn't matter. You can do them both, obviously, and I did them both. Are you going to venture into commercial or industrial? Certainly you can. Your real estate license is doesn't say residential, it's a real estate license. So you can sell land, agriculture, commercial, residential, all of that. But, caveat, asterisk at the end of that. Are you an expert? Do you know what you're doing in those departments? If you don't know what you're doing or don't have resources to know what you're doing, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. The NAR's Code of Ethics requires that you understand and be knowledgeable in the types of transactions you're doing. So if you want to be in commercial, industrial, certainly you can, but you need to get that knowledge to do that, and that's a whole separate conversation. So I'm going to assume everybody's residential at this point. Who do you know? Your sphere of influence? I don't cover this a lot, so let me give it about 3 minutes here. Sphere of influence. This is something that most of your brokers probably already went over with you. That's probably one of the first things that came out of their mouth when they sat down with you to start you off on doing business. Your sphere. Who do you know? Basically, I call it your Christmas card list. Who are the people you send a Christmas card to? I don't know if anybody does anymore. I think I'm the one that's left still sending them. Who's on that list? Aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, past neighbors, maybe your kids, friends, families of your friends' kids, stuff like that. So who's on that list? How do you want to go after them? And what I want you to think about is, what are you expecting from them? Because a lesson that I didn't learn until I was just about done with the sales side of real estate, moving over to this side, I was really bad at something. When I went to a family reunion or, graduation party or whatever party, and all my family were there, everybody always asked you the same question. Hey, how's real estate going? What was my answer? I would say, it's great. Bad answer. Because what did I just tell them? I don't need your help. I'm doing fine without you. What should I be saying? I should have said, well, it's going well, but I can always use another couple deals. So if you know someone that's looking to buy or sell a home, I'd really appreciate if you throw me their name. And say it like that. Not just, I love referrals. I mean, just fine. But I think you need to build a little rapport, a little empathy around it that, hey, I could use your help. And ask for that help. But when I would just say back to him, oh, it's going great, thanks. That wasn't, one, very truthful sometimes, because sometimes it wasn't going so great. And two, I could always use another deal and want another deal. I just didn't say that. So what are you looking for from your sphere? My aunt, my mom's cousin, truly, was buying a house and didn't use me as an agent. You want to talk about painful. Why would she not use me, right? It took me quite a while to realize the reason is probably not so much to do with me, is she didn't want me to know what her income is. She was embarrassed about her income and that whole personal side that she didn't want to share with me. I truly believe that now. She's passed at this point, but understand that. So what could I have done instead of going after her business? Asked her for her friend's business. Hey, by the way, Aunt Kay, do you happen to know someone who's looking to buy or sell a home? I'm a little short in transactions this week. I could really use a lead if you know of somebody. You probably don't know of someone now. Just keep your ears open. If you hear of somebody that might be looking to buy or sell, or one of your neighbors or something, just give them my card and maybe give them a couple of business cards. Something to think about. Or maybe you do want to go ahead and sell them property. So my best friend, he was my first deal in real estate. So I got my license in February. By March, I had them under contract with new construction. Good deal. It was well over $70,000. It was a nice home. Not that $70,000 aren't nice. I mean, nice commission. So that was a great transaction. So in that case, he didn't mind sharing with me his income. I pretty much knew it. He knew mine. So that wasn't a problem. But my point here is, think about this list, this sphere list. You may not want to, it may not be in your best interest to go after each of them for their business themselves. Maybe it is. Everybody's different. But think about how you want to handle them. Are you going after them for referrals primarily, or for their business, or for both? So just something to think about. I hope your brokers went over a whole lot more with you on spheres and how to go after them. All right, good. So let me show you a couple stats here. Roughly, McHenry County has around 310,000 people. And we have roughly 1,000 agents. So that means everybody gets 310 people. And that includes families. So children, spouses, okay, that dwindles that down. Don't let that bother you. We have about 117,000 housing units. Everybody gets 117 homes? No, because most agents aren't doing a lot of business. A majority of our agents, I'm going to use MRED, 45,000 agents throughout the entire Northern Illinois region. I forget the exact statistic, but 80% of them are doing 0 to 1 deal a year. So they're not competition in that regard. It used to drive me crazy when I would drive by a property when I knew I'd already talked to those people about listing their home and there was somebody else assigned the yard. Oh my God, that hurt me. You have to get over that. You're not going to get them all. You're going to want them all, but you can't get them all. That's okay. You've got enough business out there. Work your areas, focus on your business, and just know there's enough out there. Back in 2008, when the market collapsed, if you will, we went from 1,100 real estate agents down to about 600 real estate agents. A lot less people eating from the pie. There was a lot smaller pie, so everybody still got their spoonful. There's enough business out there for you. And of course, you're not confined to just the county, but keep to areas that you know. That's very important. All right, I covered that already. Building your team. Of course, now we can't call it a team, so I need to change the slide a little bit. You're not a team when you're talking about affiliate members. So the state has changed their way of calling you team. In order for you to be a team, to call yourself team, it has to be 2 or more real estate agents who have an agreement and work together. So be cautious about that. So I put team in air quotes there. You need to have other people, so affiliates. This link would go live if we're in a classroom. I'm not going to do it now, but it would take you to a list of all of our affiliate members who are lenders, attorneys, home inspectors, home improvement, home warranty people, movers, interior design, photographers, and about 10 other categories that don't come to mind. You need to have your team of backup. Especially, you need to know your lenders, your attorneys, and your home inspectors up front. I would tell you to go to Heartland's website, print off the pages that have those lists and have them with you, because when you're writing a contract for a buyer, you're going to need to have those lists right there for you. It's not going to be good enough for you to say, well, which home inspector do you want? Let me go and find them and I'll email you later. No, you need to write all this down. You need to start acting this moment. So you pull out your briefcase form. It says, here are a whole bunch of home inspectors. Here's the 1, 2, 3 that I recommend that you call. This one's my favorite because they do a great job, or whatever else you want to say, but here's a whole page of them. Which one would you like to use? Do you want to call them and let me know? I need to know the answer by tomorrow, or whatever. So you're gonna have that conversation. Lenders, you should have already had that before you write an offer. You need that lender page up front. You better have a pre-approval before you write an offer. Let me say it again slower. You must have a pre-approval letter from every one of your buyer clients before you write an offer. Just, that's basic. So do that. Start working on your list here. Get your affiliates together. In this regard, talk to your managing broker, because some of your brokerage firms have special arrangements with some of these affiliate members, so they want you to use them. There's some incentives for some of you to use them as well. Be cautious about RESPA, the Real Estate Settlements and Procedures Act, and violations there, but talk to your managing broker about which affiliate members they like and why you should be using them. So that's company affiliates. One from each category or many. I'd suggest, especially from home inspectors, attorneys, and I forgot the third one I just said, home inspectors, attorneys, lenders, you're probably going to have 3 roughly that are your main people. I'm not saying you can't use others. I'm not saying your clients can't use others, but there's going to be a couple that are your top dogs, that this is the person you're going to send them to. You know, they have the best rates, they have the best fees, they get back to you quickly, they're timely, and all those other things. That's who you want to be sending business to, not because you want kickbacks, because you can't get those, but because you want to make sure your clients' needs are taken care of in an efficient manner and that their real estate needs are being cared for. So figure out who those are. Again, talk to your managing broker. I suggest you have a couple from each category, because there will be a time when, as an example, your home inspector is booked on the day that you need him. Your client can't do it any other day. Your home inspector is just not able to do it that day. You will need a backup plan, as an example. So you're going to be giving referrals to them, to these affiliate members. That's the normal way. You're giving your business to them and reaching out to them. It's less likely for them to have a contact in real estate that they give to you first. How likely is it someone's going to contact a home inspector before they contact a real estate agent? Not likely. So don't expect a lot of referrals back from them. Every once in a while, they will have one. And that's why when you pick out 1, 2, or 3 people that you use very frequently, when those opportunities come up, hopefully it's you they give it to. But you're not doing it on a, if you don't give me one, I'm not giving you one. No. So referrals to them, referrals from them, cooperative advertising. You absolutely can utilize them, these affiliate members, to help pay for ads and marketing materials. They can legally pay for an amount of money that's reasonable for that ad. So a billboard. You put up a huge billboard, you've got the lender on one half and your name on the other half on Route 14. You each pay for half, there's no problem. But the lender can't pay for the whole thing because his name's up there and your name's up there. No. You each pay for your half. That's legal. They can't pay for the whole thing. So they can take you somewhere. They can't send you somewhere. They can't send you and 3 of your buddies on a golf outing. They can take you and 2 others on a golf outing, as an example. So I'm not going to get into a whole RESPA thing. There are pieces and parts about it. If you have questions, of course, reach me after hours here off this session, and we can talk about those things. But utilize these affiliate members. We're going to talk about this more in marketing as well next week. So ask your broker. All right, we have 15 minutes left and got a long way to go. We're going to get there. Did you get a copy of your office policy manual? You should have gotten that. You need to have gotten that. You need to at least look through it. If I were a managing broker these days, I wouldn't have a manual to hand you. I'd give you a link or a hard drive to it. Probably a link so that I could keep modifying it as necessary. And as things change, let my agents know, hey, section 3 changed, go look at this, or whatever. You should know where it's at. You should have access to it. You should have read it, frankly. At the very least, open it up, because some of these are really big and thick, and they should be, frankly. You should know the chapters. So open up the table of contents, look through the different chapters, and see what's in there. Anything in there you don't understand, are you obligated to follow it or guideline? You are obligated to follow their policy manual. So they can use as a defense in the court of law, Your Honor, our policy manual says this and the agent did that. That's a reasonable defense for them. Yes, extenuating circumstances, yes, but they can start with that as their defense and work from there. So they have those rights. All right, make sure you know what's in those different parts. I think the next question here, how often are office meetings held? So know about office meetings. Let me go back to this. I think I cover it in a little bit, but one thing I think needs to be in here that you need to know, a couple things. Exit clauses, the time to negotiate your contract, excuse me, this is off the policy manual, so let's come back to that. All right, how often are office meetings held? You need to know that. Are you required to attend them? What are they on? If I was a managing broker of an office, every quarter I would have a required office meeting. One of them a year is on fair housing, one is on safety, one is on antitrust, and the other one would be on the policy manual. I'd go over those things at least annually, those 4 topics. One, it's good for the broker, but 2, I want to make sure my agents understand that we have those conversations. So understand those things. I will be doing a session on fair housing and antitrust in a couple weeks. If you want to hear more on safety, let me know. I'm happy to come to your office and do a virtual office meeting or an actual office meeting to talk about safety. It's the #1 topic I'm asked to talk about it. I did one this morning for another office as well. So E&O insurance, errors and omissions insurance. What does it cover? Errors that you make during real estate. What does it not cover? Violations of the law. So antitrust, fair housing, stuff like that, violations of the Real Estate License Law Act are not covered by errors and omissions. Those are illegal acts, not errors. So, whoa, that changes the picture a whole lot. Some of the things we think we might be covered for aren't. Who pays for it? That's a very good question. You need to ask your managing broker, hey, do we have errors and omissions insurance? Who pays for that? How is that paid for? Some offices may have that as a part of your regular monthly office fee. Some may do it per transaction. Some may require the agents carry their own. Oh, how do you do that? So you need to ask your managing broker that. A couple things about marketing as it pertains to your broker. We're going to cover marketing next week. But here, what do you have to get approved by your managing broker? So if you're going to do postcards or things, what about posts on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat? What needs to get approved? So you need to ask your managing broker, what do they want to see or not see? How does that all work? What about social media? Are you breaking the law? So one thing is that next line, does the company name appear? This is the biggest violation we see in social media. An agent has their own personal page, great, no problem. And on that page, they post their brand new listing without any attribution to the company name. That's a violation, it's a blind ad. So you need to be cautious about that. If you put your name, your company name in there, XYZ Real Estate, then you're good. So ask your managing broker what you need to have approved by them. What about texts? So how do you put your name of your company in a text message you send? First, text messages come in 2 different methods. One is you're texting with somebody that you have a relationship with, meaning a business relationship. If they know what company you already work for, then it's covered, it's not an advertisement. But what if you do a text message to a large group of people to say, hey, I just listed this house at 123 Main Street, and you send it to a whole bunch of people? That's an advertisement that better contain in some fashion your company name. So what the IDFPR, our governing body, has said is if you have in that text even a tiny URL address, which I'm not sure if you know what those are, we can talk about that offline as well, but if you have an address in there, a link that someone can click on the link in the text, it takes them to a place where all the information is located. IDFPR said that is acceptable at this point. Technically, it's still a violation, but they're not going to go after that because I realize the law always follows transactions. So the law is always trying to catch up with reality in a way. So that is acceptable to have a link in those kind of texts. Commissions. So company policy. So make sure you know what's in your independent contractor agreement as it relates to commissions. What's your company policy? How often does it change? What do you charge? So are you allowed to negotiate? I talked earlier in that previous slide, and the probably third slide, about negotiating that 2.5% commission to whatever it is. So you need to find out from your managing broker, how much leeway do you have? In my office, we had about 15 agents, medium-sized office. 5 of us, maybe 6 of us did business. 3, 4 kind of did some business, and 5 or 6 at the bottom really didn't do much at all. So the 3, 4, 5 of us at the top were allowed to negotiate our commissions. Why? Because the managing broker knew we weren't going to give away the farm. We weren't going to negotiate our commission so low. The middle ones, they had to talk to her before they can negotiate, and the bottom agents could not negotiate. It was what the office policy was, and that was it. So find out where you sit in that. Find out what your company policy is, what your limitations are. My third year, it was probably my third year in real estate when my negotiations were negotiating upward. So if we need to negotiate on property, it was upward, but that's a whole different discussion. Maybe we can talk about that in the advanced real estate, our last one. All right, good there. Whoops, slipped. Copy of an independent contract agreement. Make sure you have a copy of your agreement. You need to know where that's at. I had a call yesterday from an agent who said, hey, I left my company. How does that work? And that's the summary of what she actually said. And the answer is, what does your independent contract agreement say? So read what the exit clauses are. If you're going to leave your company, know what fees you might have to pay in leaving, or if you're going to change, if you're going to broker tours. So what does it say about broker tours? So broker tour, in case you don't know, maybe you are so new, those are open houses that were held when we could do them on Tuesdays from 10 till 1, and that's a whole other discussion we'll do on marketing. So agents, real estate agents would come by and see the home. They might have a client who's interested in that property or that neighborhood. They come by and take a look at that home. It was an open house on Tuesday mornings for real estate agents to come through. As an incentive to bring agents in, to get agents to come in, the listing agent would often hold or offer prizes. So the first 10 agents through get a lottery card. The first 12 agents through get a bottle of wine. Those kinds of things. There's raffles and things like that. So what would happen if you went to one of those, you got the bottle of wine, you went back to your office? Technically, that's a commission. And technically, you would owe your managing broker their share of the commission split. So if you're 50-50, break up the glasses, you're each drinking half the bottle of wine. That doesn't typically happen. Typically, managing brokers say those things you can keep yourself. But what about the lottery card I mentioned? So first 10 agents that come through get a lottery card, you scratch off and you win $100,000. Is your broker going to want their share of the $100,000? I'm guessing they're going to want it. So I think it's important for you to know what it says in your independent contractor agreement about broker tour prices. I've been saying this for years. I don't know if anybody's ever done it, but that's where I'm at. The other thing is there's, anyway, another story. We won't go there. Commission agreement, what's your split? When does it update? Is it monthly, quarterly, annual? How does your commission, how do you get up the scale? If you start out at 50-50, how do you get to 60-40, 70-30, and hopefully higher than that if your market goes that far? Know what it is, know how to get there, and you need to know how to calculate that. If it's a quarterly basis, which many of them are, sometimes some agents find that the fourth quarter of the year are their toughest quarter and they don't do as much business. Some agents, that's their busiest one, by the way, but that's a whole other story. If you know that you're having a bad, a slow quarter, you better bump it up because it's going to hurt you the rest of the year by bringing down your commission rates, your splits. So keep that going, know what it is. All right, sitting broker open. We got a few more slides here. We might get done close to on time, might be a couple minutes late. Sitting broker open, great way to meet agents. So you should sit broker open houses. Again, those are the ones on Tuesday mornings here in McHenry County. You're going to entice other agents to come by. I was like the crock pot king. I would just bring a crock pot. You could cook anything. I had Italian in there. I did noodles. I did ribs one time in the crock pot. I did Chinese food, rice and chop suey. Lots of things can be done. All kinds of food. Here's a better thing than me bringing it myself. Remember that list of affiliate members I talked about? So reach out to your lenders. They love to do it. Probably not so much your home inspectors, although they're not against it, but they're not your prime source. But certainly the lenders and home warranty people would love to help you with an open house. So you get a new listing, you call up your favorite home warranty person and say, hey, I got an open house coming up next week, Tuesday. What are you doing? Can you sit that with me? And you might even be bold enough to just say, can you bring the lunch, or just let them offer, because they will do it. One, you don't have to get it and take care of it. They will bring it, they will pay for it. Nice stuff. So let them do it, bring these people. And from a safety perspective, it's better to have somebody with you than for you to sit alone. Never sit in open house alone. Broker or public, never sit in open house alone. Never. All right, so entice other agents to come by, food, raffle tickets, bottle of wine, lottery tickets. Team up with another agent in town or on tour that day. So maybe you say, hey, if you stop by and see them both, then you'll be in a raffle to win a $100 gift card. And you each throw in $50 for that thing. Just an idea. See them both, get entered in the raffle. Be open as long as possible. So 10 to 1, absolutely. So sometimes you'll see agents do 11 to 1, or I've seen 11 to 12. I'm not knocking it. I understand that there are reasons why agents do that. So people hearing this recording later, don't send me emails, but do it for as long as possible. I would argue 10 to 1. If you're going to do it at all, do it right. If you're going to kick a seller out of their house, and the seller should leave, get them out for the 3 hours so agents can come by. If I were going to do it, I would do it from 10 to 2. What? Why till 2? Because guess what happens at 1 o'clock? Agents start running late on getting out to see the homes. So they start out at 11:30 or 12 o'clock or 12:30, and there's only 3 homes open, till 1, or I'm the only one open till 2. Great, everybody comes by and sees me. So just a thought, maybe it works for you, maybe 1:30. I don't know what the answer is, but I would do a little bit longer than shorter. Just my thought. Don't sell your sellers short. Do it for as long as possible. You want as much feedback as you can get. Don't do lockbox tour. I've got a friend in here in McHenry County that does lockbox tours. She and I have had this discussion. I don't find them, I find them distasteful. I get that some agents might have 2 or 3 open houses going, and they have to do a couple on a lockbox tour, which means the agent is sitting at one house, but they have another house on tour as well, and you use your key card to go in and access it. Not my thing. That's not the reputation I would want to put out, but I'm not, everybody has their own opinion. That's where I'm going to go. If you're going to do it, make sure it's noted in the remarks section of the system. So in MLS, that's where you're going to list these. You're going to note it in the MLS as a broker open house. That's where you search to find where the list is of broker open houses. And then make a note in there if you're going to do a lockbox tour, make sure it's clear so that when somebody drives up, they're not looking for an agent or a broker sign or something. They know it's a lockbox tour and they have to do that. Make sure the sellers leave, make sure they take the pets with them, and of course follow up with the seller and or the listing agent if it's not your home, your listing. Follow up with them to make sure that the feedback has been given. Let them know, hey, we have 5 agents come through. Always sound excited. When you're talking to those sellers, hey, we had 3 agents come through today, even though in your mind you're going, God, we only have 3 agents today. When you talk to them, hey, we had 3 agents come through today. They're really excited about the house. One thought they might have a buyer that's interested in it. I'm going to follow up with them and see how it goes. Sound excited. If you come and go, yeah, we only had 3, it wasn't very good. Yeah, one might have somebody who's interested. Bad way to go. Be excited, be excited, be excited. So attend a broker open house, go on tour every week as possible, get out there for a couple of reasons. One, it's good for your reputation as an agent, which is good for you and your clients. You want other agents to see you, to know you're out there, to get to meet them. It starts to build a reputation. Hey, Jim's out there on tour all the time. Yeah, no, I know Jim, that's great. So then when you write an offer on one of their listings, like, oh, this is from Jim. This is, let's deal with Jim's offer. If you're multiple offer, that can help your client. So anyway. Go see agents from your office, absolutely. Go see agents from other offices, absolutely. Be sure to see all of the homes listed that are in your farm area. And again, we'll talk about farm areas next week. You need to know what's going on in your marketplace, and if there's a home that's for sale, you need to know it if it's in your farm. Because if you get a call from a seller, a different seller says, hey, yeah, I want to sell my home, you need to know what those other homes are. So we'll cover that later. Business card left behind. It's customary practice here in McHenry County, which is different from other areas. But here in McHenry County, when you go in to either see a property on a showing or go in for a broker tour, you leave your business card behind for the listing agent or for the seller to see. Not a solicitation, just a business card, so that they know you've been in the home and who's been in their home, period. Public open houses, ask your broker to help you find a listing that's good for that. If you don't have your own listings, think about what a good home is for an open house. Make sure it has good visibility on the main road. For instance, my wife likes to do garage sales, and I keep telling her, honey, we don't live in a good location for garage sales. We're kind of off the beaten path. You have to literally go 3/4 of a mile down an almost desolate road to get to our neighborhood. People turn around before they get that far. They're, oh my God, it can't be this far. Same thing's going to happen with your open house. So think about how you're going to do an open house. Think about the signage. My rule of thumb, I don't know how you want to do business, but my rule of thumb is if you need more than 3 arrow signs for them to get to their open house, they're not going to get there. They're either going to get lost or they're going to turn around. Market that home on realtor.com and other sites. Send, of course, Facebook and all those places. Send out postcards to the neighborhood in advance, maybe, to let them know you're doing an open house, which is good marketing for you, just letting people know you're doing business. Not even about the open house. It's just a reason to list to them or send to them. Promote in advance to drive traffic. So I absolutely would get one of the sign writers, and we sell them here at Heartland. Get one of the sign writers that says open, open Sunday, and then you can write in the time, 1 to 4, or whatever, 2 to 4, whatever it is. No more than 3 hours, and never have the seller there with you. That's a whole other story, but you don't want the sellers there. So next slide. So have the sellers leave and take the pets with them. Absolutely. You don't want to be sitting in an open house for 3 hours explaining to the seller why the home hasn't sold yet. Trust me, it's going to cost you a lot of money to do that. Have the sellers leave, and they need to take their pets with them. Bring a book. Sometimes open houses are, you don't have a lot of traffic through there and they're boring. You should not be using their television sets. Never, never, never sit in an open house alone. We covered that already. Use your affiliate members for that. We're going to come back to 5 houses in marketing next week. Don't use their facilities, their toilets. Don't be using them. And if you have to use their toilet, make sure it works before you use it. Make sure it works before you use it. The worst thing could be that you use it and then you find out it doesn't work. That would not be good. So don't use them is the first thing, but if you have to, make sure it works first. Ask the seller to open our drapes and turn on the lights before they leave. What if the drapes are broken and you go to flip the thing open and now it falls to the ground? Did you just break it, or was it broken? I don't know. Have them do it, open it up, get it nice and bright. For one, it's a safety thing that you're not walking through the house. They know they're gonna have to come home and close all that. You're not in the house alone closing it all up. Turn on the lights, and have them put away their valuables. We have a Heartland brochure as well that we normally cover in orientation on this too, but we're running a little late, although we're almost there. So use the Heartland brochure. I'm gonna take 2 more minutes and cover these things. So put away their valuables. Make sure they put away their valuables. Remind them, we're gonna go over this in the seller section about valuables and weapons and things like that. But turn on the lights, turn off the lights, Heartland brochure. So we have this trifold brochure, and there's a separate rider. So our forms committee just revamped this year. So they took our trifold flyer and made it more of a marketing piece, and there's an agreement that the seller needs to sign. Absolutely use that. We have had thefts in open houses. What do you think the #1 item is stolen in open houses? Medicines. Yes. So people come through your open house. There might be 2 or 3 people. Someone says, I have to use the toilet. One is you should tell them, sorry, we can't let you use the bathroom. But prior to that, you should already have a conversation with your sellers of, please put away all your valuables, take all your medications and put them away. We don't know what can happen, but that is the #1 item stolen. Put any guns away, put all the medications, put away your jewelry box, put away your checkbooks, hide everything, and don't just put them in a drawer somewhere. Wrap them up, put them in the trunk of your car, and take them with you when you go out from this open house today. I hate to get that way, but you need to protect them. And at least if you've told them and they haven't done it, you've at least told them they should have done it, which is some liability relief. May not fully relieve you, but it's a help. So anyhow, that's what we've got. I want to close each one of our sessions with this slide. Even though it's less pertaining to the information today, when you're on a listing or you're with the buyer, you need to close, close, close. So I don't remember the name of that movie, but ABC, always be closing. There's a whole skit on it. You can go YouTube it or video it and find it. It's pretty darn funny with Alex Baldwin. Pretty funny. You've got to ask for the close. You got to close 3 times. And if that doesn't work, then keep trying closing. Keep closing till they kick you out of the house. Seriously, because you need to be selling property, right? And here's what we'll add to that, because I've said this one time and someone, I could kind of see the reaction like, oh, Jim was a pushy salesman. Let me tell you something. They wouldn't have called you into their house for the listing appointment if they weren't interested in selling. They wouldn't have called you up to go see property if they weren't interested in buying. I'm not saying you're going to make them buy that house that you just showed them, but you need to be working with your clients. And my point of this slide is it's okay for you to help them get over the discomfort of the move. This is a huge transaction for them and for you, but a huge transaction for them. Moving is a very emotional thing. When they're buying that property or they're selling that property, it is emotional. And it's okay for you to help nudge them past those objections, you know, those things in their mind, those buyer remorse issues. It's okay to do that. You shouldn't be pushy and a jerk about it, but you should also realize that there's going to be some opposition. There's going to be some obstacles and objections and things that come up, and you need to handle those. And we're going to deal with that in the buyer session and the seller session. And of course, next week is marketing. So I don't know, a couple of you still have the mic open. Any questions?
No, no, everything was great. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording if I can find it there. No, stop. All right.